It is August 10th, 2025, and the Trump administration is putting on quite the show right now, acting as though it really wants to see peace with Russia and end to the war in Ukraine. I mean, Trump just brokered a peace deal between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Surely he's pursuing peace all around, except that he's not. And I think taking a look at what Netanyahu is saying about Gaza, acting as though he's going to end the quote unquote war, which was really a genocide there, and he's found the fastest way to do it. Oh, and it's by Israel occupying Gaza City. There's a lot that's being said right now, especially as we get closer and closer to Trump's highly anticipated summit with Putin coming up on Friday in Alaska. And so this week on my episode of Sanctioned, which is of course an exclusive weekly series for my paid subscribers, we took a look at some of the different moves that the Trump administration is making right now on the foreign policy stage, what they're saying versus what they're actually doing, and what we should be keeping an eye on. And before we get into a clip from this week's episode, Jax wanted to come and say hi. He just got up from his nap, so he is a little bit tired. I know a lot of people will always ask where he is. He's usually passed out sleeping, and so I feel bad waking him up, but we did today, and he is going to be paid with plenty of treats, so don't worry. But he came to say hi, to let you know that you can check out Sanctioned right now, and let's go ahead and take a look at a clip from this week's episode. And now you have Netanyahu taking a page out of Trump's playbook. He's trying to act as though this is the best thing for the Palestinians, that it's going to be beneficial for them to get Hamas out of the way, right? He's claiming that by occupying Gaza City, that this is the quote unquote fastest way to end, again, the war. And so while Netanyahu is saying that, you have to know that the exact opposite is going to be true. He would never do anything good for the Palestinians, right? Never do anything to benefit them. He knows that this is just a continuation of the genocide. He's just not going to say it out loud. He's claiming that neither Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority will be allowed to control the Gaza Strip. Therefore, Israel is going to bring in some vague Arab force to do the job. The idea has, not surprisingly, been met with widespread criticism. But the part that's not getting nearly enough attention on the international stage is the part where this is all just part of the genocide. This is not about the US and Israel coming up with any new scheme or any new way to target Hamas or to quote unquote save the Palestinians, because they certainly don't want to do that. This is what genocide looks like, right? For the last nearly 2 years now, we've seen Israel operate in all of these different phases. They start out by dropping the equivalent of multiple nuclear bombs on the Gaza Strip. Then they go in and they evacuate the Palestinians from here, from there. They're pushing them all around this very small part of land, evacuating one city after another. Oh, then they've got to go in and start bombing the refugee camps, because now these Palestinians don't have homes anymore. So now they're literally bombing tent camps, and they just keep at it. And then they introduce in this new scheme that they're going to call it the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, that, oh, it's going to come in and it's going to be the one handling all of the humanitarian aid. And then, as we're seeing right now, dozens of Palestinians are being murdered by Israel on a regular basis here. Oh, and then Israel comes in and says, oh, we're going to start allowing for the airdropping of humanitarian aid again. I've already seen multiple videos on social media today alone showing Palestinians being either killed or injured by these airdrops, because they have been, and we saw this last time around that they tried to do this, they have proved to be deadly. And it's a reminder that the goal here is to wear the Palestinians down, to get them to the point where they've killed as many as they can, and then they look at the remaining ones and they try to force them into accepting a fate of refugees, to giving up their land and to moving to some other country that they're shipped off to, so that the US and Israel can eventually do whatever they want with the Gaza Strip. This is not about defeating Hamas. This is not about bringing in some other mystery Arab force to rule the region. No, this is just the next phase of the genocide. Now, I know some of you are going to be watching this and you're going to be thinking, okay, well, yeah, Trump isn't exactly saving the Palestinians. You didn't expect him to. You didn't expect him to, do anything to change Israel's genocidal ways in the entire region of the Middle East. But then you look at other things that Trump is doing and you think, hey, maybe he's actually pursuing peace. I mean, look at this deal that he just brokered between Armenia and Azerbaijan. That deal, which is supposed to end a 4-decade-long conflict, it also just happens to include the creation of a transit corridor named the Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity. And I know that Trump is, of course, grinning ear to ear because it's named after him, but we also have to look at a map and ask the question of where does that route run exactly? Well, as journalist Dmitry Lascaris noted on X, it's right along the border with Iran. And it's a clear reminder that, as he described it, the Trump regime has negotiated a deal with his puppets in Azerbaijan and Armenia that is designed to place U.S. forces along the northern border of Iran. Because even though there is currently a ceasefire between the US and Israel and Iran, we have to remember that the US is not done with war on Iran. They are not done targeting the country that is a major pillar of the multipolar world. And guess what? The exact same thing goes for Russia. And yes, I say that even as we are days away from this major summit coming up between Trump and Putin. The first time that you are going to see the presidents of the US and Russia come face to face in over 4 years. It is an incredibly significant event. And I know that Trump is really kind of trying to hype this up, right? He's acting like we're going to get some sort of a deal. There's going to be a swapping of territories between Russia and Ukraine, that this is the starting point for what is eventually going to be an end to this war. And while it is notable that Russia is agreeing to this, right? I mean, given the fact that we've watched Trump in recent weeks fall all over himself, issuing one ultimatum after another to Russia, telling them this is your deadline to agree to a deal or to make progress on a deal or blah, blah, blah. Well, now all of a sudden you have Russia in this position where they're agreeing to something that, quite frankly, they didn't really want to do, which is a direct meeting before there is a final agreement to end this war. As we've seen with Russia, it has seemed like their goal was to get that deal first, to have the deal in writing, and to then have Trump and Putin have their handshake, photo op, all that, once they had something that they could agree to. Right now, although I know U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff did go to Moscow last week, he met with Putin directly for around 3 hours. He apparently presented something that Russia saw in a positive light. That's not enough to wrap it all up and to end this war, especially as you have Vice President J.D. Vance saying this weekend that, oh, it's very simple. Russia and Ukraine are just going to agree to pause the war along the current front lines, and that is going to be the new line for territory. Well, that right there is your first red flag, because Zelensky has already said that even if they make an agreement, pause things along the current front lines, say that that's an end to the war, he has said that Kiev would never actually recognize the 4 territories in what was previously eastern Ukraine, along with Crimea, as part of Russia. And yet for Russia, that's their red line, right? They are demanding a number of things, such as that Kiev will agree that it will never become a member of NATO, that it will be a neutral state, which is really hard to do at a time when you have Kiev's government and military completely propped up by support from the West, largely support from the US. And that was a clip from this week's episode of Sanctioned. Jax is here to let you know that you can watch the entire video right now if you sign up as a paid subscriber over on my page on Substack. That's rachelblevins.substack.com. You can also catch it on Patreon. That's patreon.com/rachelblevins. As always, thank y'all so much for all of your support, and we hope that you have a great week.